On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Let's get right into it with a scene that, for me, encapsulates this entire film and is conveniently placed right at the beginning. Bond is driving, and an angry woman in a convertible passes him. He gives chase. Is he intrigued by her and trying to catch up? No, he suddenly slows down and has a smoke. By pure coincidence, she stopped at the beach further up the road. Bond spies on her for a while. Somehow, he determines that she's killing herself. In order to rescue her, he drives halfway down the beach, stops his car, then runs the other half of the way. But look out, bad guys are here to fight Bond. What exactly are bad guys doing on this beach? Were they tailing the girl and making sure nobody prevented her from killing herself? That seems implausible enough, but we saw that nobody arrived after Bond, and there are no cars anywhere, so they must have been waiting on the beach. But how did they know someone was going to stop and commit suicide on this exact beach? In any case, we are treated to an extremely silly fight scene. In case you actually like tons of quick cuts, extreme close-ups, and frame cutting in your fight scenes, don't worry. There's plenty more where that came from. So, to review, the editing goes haywire. Bond seems to drown henchman A after a series of identical karate flips from both parties. But once Bond is after henchman B, who, by the way, has been hiding during the fighting to no purpose, he clearly isn't trying to run away, henchman A is still alive and surprises Bond. After more fighting, Bond takes out henchman A by covering him in an upturned boat. Well, that ought to stop him for a couple seconds. So nope, he's gone forever. Henchman B is stopped by a net.
Yes, a tiny net is a death sentence. It's a net and it's tiny.
After this bizarre sequence of events, Bond quips,
"This never happened to the other fella."
"Certainly not." On Her Majesty's Secret Service seems to delight in taking elements we've seen in the previous Bond films and making hollow mockeries of them. Remember the tense safe-cracking scene from You Only Live Twice? Bond nervously goes about his work while hanging on each footstep he hears in the nearby hallway. Now, imagine that same scene, only Bond isn't sneaky. He has a giant safe-cracking machine craned in, isn't nervous, he casually reads a Playboy, and isn't in any real danger. The only possible person who could walk in on him is clearly shown walking away. If that sounds like only the superficial elements of the original scene, with none of the suspense, we're beginning to understand each other. How about those smirking one-liners Connery used to use on bad guys? Remember those? See if you can watch this unedited sequence without cringing.
Give it to you outside.
Why not? Perhaps we can make up a foursome. You've thought of everything. What a lovely surprise, our meeting again so soon. Thank you. And where's the party this time?
You have an appointment.
Business or pleasure? Mystery tour, eh? I think we'd all enjoy it more without that.
Just in case you blinked and missed one, that was 6. I guess I have to talk about Lazenby. People usually love him or hate him, but despite my opinion of this movie, I don't think he's that bad an actor. This was his only Bond film, and his Bond is a bit sillier than Connery's, but it's not a big problem for me. The real problem is the things the script makes him say. At one point, he dresses up in a frilly shirt and a kilt and pretends to be gay to infiltrate Blofeld's base. As if to reassure the audience he's not really gay, he then proceeds to blow his cover by sleeping with several women. It just isn't possible to deliver a line about being turned straight by a woman you've just met multiple times in one movie and not look foolish. And besides, he's being dubbed in those scenes, so even the delivery can't be entirely blamed on him. The movie has a general continuity problem with the other films. In this scene, we see that this is the same Bond from before. So why doesn't Blofeld immediately recognize Bond from their previous encounters? There were so many ways to get around this. Disguise Bond, ignore the continuity of the previous films, make Lazenby a new successor Bond, but instead the writers give Bond a conversation with M where M chastises him for making no progress in finding Blofeld since the events of You Only Live Twice. Bond even threatens to resign over this issue, and from then on, everyone just acts like they've never seen each other. Ah yes, those sure were good times I had infiltrating Blofeld's base last movie. Hey, it's that guy I was reminiscing about. I'm sure he's forgotten about that whole volcano base explosion thing. And why does Bond care so much about Tracy? Bond was basically a sociopath in the other films. Charming and protective, but he seemed to forget about the Bond girls just moments after they died. Now he violates M's orders just so he can rescue Tracy? She doesn't really do anything we haven't seen before. The plot hinges on this decision, and I just don't buy it. The ending is so bad. Bond defeats Blofeld, who is a couple hundred yards away, and instead of checking that he's dead, he walks in the other direction. This has bad consequences. Oops. To prevent this review from being entirely negative, I should mention that Telly Savalas' Blofeld is easily the best of the series. The movie gets knocked for its infertility/mind control story.
Every night at exactly 12 o'clock, you must be alone, so that you can switch on that receiver and listen for my voice. I'll tell you what to do. I will tell you when. And I will tell you how.
But Savalas really sells it to me with his version of the traditional evil plot summary.
Total infertility in plants and animals. Not just disease in a few herds, Mr. Bond, or the loss of a single crop, but the destruction of a whole strain, forever, throughout an entire continent. If my demands are not met, I shall proceed with the systematic extinction of whole species of cereals and livestock all over the world.
For me, OHMSS is one of the worst James Bond films, beaten only by a certain film that shall not be named. Nearly every aspect of it is either cinematically confusing or thematically contrary to what's entertaining about the series. This is a somewhat extravagant claim since a lot of people have given this movie high praise for not straying from the book, but I'm sticking to my guns. Referencing the source material as a standard of value is a non sequitur, since the novel's analogs for direction, editing, and acting are all just aspects of writing. Saying, the script was like the book, is only meaningful if everything in the movie besides the script was also up to snuff, and that is far from being the case here. Do not watch this movie.